Robert Saleh spotted at practice. He's going to be a consultant of some kind for the Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur confirmed it on Wednesday. We've got a Locked On Packers, Locked On Jaguars crossover coming for you, but it could not go left unsaid that this is a thing that happened. It was a huge discussion point yesterday when we found out this was happening, when Big Bob Saleh shows up at practice with a script. This is a terrific opportunity for the Packers to use one of the best defensive minds in the league to their advantage after he gets fired in New York. It's also a terrific opportunity for Saleh, who ultimately his downfall in New York as a head coach was his inability to help the offense in a meaningful way, or at least by perception. The defense was good. The offense had its issues. Now, part of the reason is because Aaron Rodgers wanted to do things a certain kind of way, but it benefits Saleh to say, if I want to be Mike Tomlin, then I need to be able to go into those offensive meeting rooms and talk like Matt LaFleur and talk like Adam Stenavich. And this is a win-win in that way. Plus, he's got familiarity with Jeff Hafley. There is that synergy with the scheme. This makes absolutely all the sense in the world for all sides. And how funny would it be to have Robert Saleh come after getting unceremoniously and frankly unfairly booted out of New York with Aaron Rodgers to come to Green Bay and win in a meaningful way with the Green Bay Packers, after one of the reasons why the Packers couldn't win with Aaron Rodgers is Robert Saleh's defense was in his way. That's what the Packers have the potential to do here in 2024. All right, it's a Locked On Packers, Locked On Jaguars crossover. Let's do it.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your team here every day on Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Packers. We thank you for making us your first listen. And to let you know, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. All crossover Thursdays are presented by Prize Picks across the network. Download the app and use the code Locked On NFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. On today's show, Peter Bukowski and I, Tony Wiggins, Locked On Jaguars, Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers. We're going to go over the keys to victory, the big storylines. Without further ado, Peter Bukowski, welcome to the show.
It is so good to be here. My audience has been stoked for this week in particular for you, and I love that. So let's do it. I've been stoked for this week because of you. So let's do it.
Always, man. People don't realize this. We talk to each other a lot, but it's usually in 5-minute increments when we're doing each other's hits on each other's shows, or you know, I got more than one show. Look at me. I had to fix my hair when you told me all of the audience wanted to see me or hear from me today. But let's get to it, man. What do the Packers have going on? I watched the game last week. First of all, I watched you and one of my AFC South compadres, Big Stars, go at it back and forth about the quarterbacks. And I said, boy, Peter Bukowski is up there peacocking because his dude is playing well. And Stroud might have had the worst day ever. I kind of agree with Big Sarge a little bit, but that kid, that Love kid, he has shut everybody up. And I think he is one of the 7 or 8 best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch the maturation of Jordan Love. And, it certainly, I think if you're a Packers fan, you can feel a little spoiled, right? You go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, there has been this interesting pushback this year a little bit, Tony, because Jordan Love, he likes to be aggressive. You saw that touchdown to Tucker Kraft where he fits it in. Kalen Bullock, outstretched arms. That was Brett Favre stuff right there.
Absolutely.
But he's going to put the ball in harm's way because he just thinks he can make every play. And I wonder how Packers fans, how other teams fans would feel differently if Love had come after Favre instead of after Rodgers, because Rodgers was the most risk-averse yet productive quarterback we've ever seen. There's never been a guy who created touchdowns and avoided interceptions like Aaron Rodgers.
No.
And so when Jordan Love is putting together, Tony, this is crazy. Jordan Love is on pace for 45 touchdowns and 24 interceptions this season. That is like 1986 Dan Marino kind of stuff. And we're not used to seeing quarterbacks do that. And that, I think it's breaking people's brains a little bit. It was a little more normal in the 80s when guys it was just like, let's just chuck and duck down the field. Like, we're just going to throw the ball as far as we can and hope for the best. But that's kind of not the NFL right now. And what's fun about this week is there's a quarterback on the other side who's kind of the same way. He's kind of got that arm arrogance of like, I can fit this ball anywhere I want to. And so I'm going to put it into some precarious spots because damn it, I can.
Yeah. And you know what? I call that the Jameis Winston gene. That the only thing keeping Jameis Winston from being the starting quarterback all the time. Kurt Warner said this about him yesterday, and we ain't going to go off on him, but I'm just saying it's that he does the one thing that coaches say you cannot do. He's the 30 and 30 dude. You throw, and that's the same thing that I kind of hear you saying. And you're right about Trevor. Trevor feels like, and I want them to take that off of him. I want them to Troy Aikman him. I want them to Jared Goff him a little bit, just a little bit, so he doesn't have to play hero ball. Why is Jordan Love doing that? Because with the offense, with all the weapons, with the multiple receivers, as well as with all of those receivers, with a really good running back, and I say running back, I like the backup two up there, but now with Josh Jacobs, you have sort of a combo of Jones and Dillon, as opposed to, being able to not have your poker face with one of the others in the game. That dude can do a little bit of both of what both of those guys did. Why is he that way? He doesn't have to be that way. Is it just arm arrogance? Is he trying to really prove himself? And would you rather have him that way would you rather have to rein him in as opposed to having to push him to do more of that stuff?
I'm always with every kind of player. I want to rein him in. I want you to be going balls to the walls every rep and have me have a coach have to say, dude, can we just dial it back like 10%? Like just let's be a little bit more in control 10% of the time, and we're going to be so good. And also, like, this is the funny thing. Like, he's got Jordan Love has a turnover worthy play rate, a shade under 4%. Last year, he was in the top 10, and it was a shade under 3%. This is the margin we're talking about. Like, it's like over the course of the season, it's 10 throws. And so, like, it's not that concerning to me because he's leading the league in touchdowns. He's played 5 games. Or he was before Baker Mayfield, had a couple garbage time touchdowns on Monday. Right. So I'd always rather have the guy who's going to give you all that high end and at the cost of a couple plays. Like, look at Josh Allen. Wouldn't you just take Josh Allen, a mid Josh Allen year, like 10 times out of 10 for 28, 29 NFL teams would take that because he's so productive. And in those clutch moments, you saw it in that fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. They just sauntered downfield on the number 2 defense in the league. Just slant, stick, dart, just like no problem. Brandon McManus, game winner, like no big deal. It's Jordan Love. And Jeff Howe from The Athletic, he said he felt like that was inevitable. Jordan Love has reached that level of quarterback where if there's 2 minutes left and you've got time, you just expect them to go down and do that. And again, Packers fans this is an embarrassment of riches over what and who knows if Love is going to get to we're talking about 7 MVP awards and 2 Super Bowl trophies between them. They're both going to like backflip into the Hall of Fame. So we don't have to put those expectations on Jordan Love, but to have a guy who's capable of playing like one of the 8 best, 6 best, 10 best quarterbacks, wherever you want to put him, you got to put him in the top 10. I think at this point,
both.
It's just a blessed experience that the Packer fans are living right now.
It is, man. I mean, it is. You guys are spoiled, and but I also say you earned that because both of those quarterbacks were picked when the other guy still had prime years left, and that was some foresight from the Green Bay Packers. The defense has surprised a lot of people. I know if I mention 2 words, if I mention Joe Barry, you might just click off and just go somewhere else, but I've got other things to do better than talk about. Right. But between Kenny Clark, who is Mr. Consistent, you talk about a Hall of Famer who, like a lot of people may not know, a guy that's on that path. Kenny Clark is good. They spent currency on Lucas Van Ness, and they've gotten all of these different parts, Quay Walker included. But they've gotten all of these different parts. And then they got Xavier McKinney in free agency. And I'm thinking, like, everybody's talking about the Giants letting go of Saquon. They let him go too. So how has the defense sort of morphed into this very opportunistic defense and can be stingy when they need to be?
You have to credit the new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, former Boston College head coach, former Ohio State defensive coordinator. He took that Ohio State team. We think of Ohio State, they just recruit. They always have the best talent, and that continues to be true. But he took at defense that was kind of middle of the pack the year before, and they were one of the best defenses in the nation in just one season. So he's a former NFL guy, San Francisco 49ers tree, but don't forget, he was on the Mike Pettin staff in Cleveland. He comes from the Rex Ryan tree. So he is going to heat you up. And we were waiting to see that early in the season. And I went on my show last week, and my audience will know this. I had Ollie Connolly on from the Read Optional, who's I think is one of the best scheme talkers that we have in the sports media. And we talked about, there's just some like low-hanging fruit here for Jeff Hafley that he hasn't plucked. And then just perfect timing. He goes out and he says, look, this defense, we are building this slowly. We are rolling it out in phases because we feel like that's the best way for everyone to be on the same page. Everyone needs to know what everyone else is doing. And I said, okay, I went on the show and I said, we got to give this time. And then they go out and they put together one of the best performances on defense against a good quarterback that we have seen in 15 years of Green Bay Packers football. 55 net passing yards, Tony. The last time that happened was Justin Fields in 2022. The last time before that, it was Tavares Jackson in 2006 that a Packers defense held a quarterback to 55 net passing yards. So, and the last quarterback with 20 plus attempts to have under 100 was Charlie Fry. That's how far you have to go back. And that's against CJ Stroud, who is,
he's a very good quarterback.
He is, the narratively mainstream media, the next guy, right? So they have leaned into the simulated pressure world that has become so popular in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They blitzed on 60+% of third downs, but here's the crazy stat, Tony. Less than 20% of those blitzes involved rushing 5 or more guys. And you think,
I saw it.
How can that be possible? Well, it's because they bring the safety and drop the opposite defensive end, or they're going to show that double mug look and they only bring 4, but you had to slide your protection, or they overload one side. They got 3 on one side, 1 on the other, and they mug the A gap, and you don't know which 4 are coming. And that's the part of it that makes this so hard to deal with, because you don't know who's coming. They've gotten sacks on corner blitzes twice, or DB blitzes twice this season already. The sack fumble against Sam Darnold, and you get the huge third down. CJ Stroud did not complete a pass that converted a third down last Sunday until there was 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's how amazing. Good this defense played on third down. They've been unbelievable. If you get into third and pass, he's going to heat you up, and you better have quick answers, because if you don't, it's over.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was watching tape last night. I saw the people in the box, not including DBs. They only rushed 3 of those people. 3 of them fell back. And the DB is the one who wasn't even in the picture. He came flying from out of nowhere, and CJ Stroud was throwing while he was backpedaling. So I thought it was very, very ingenious. Looked like something I saw Saturday when Georgia played Texas, but you don't usually get away with that kind of stuff in the NFL. I tell you what, I can't get away from this crossover edition without having to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Packers crossover. Today's show is brought to you and sponsored by Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink by Zbiotics is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Zbiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Now, here's how you use it. You drink it first before alcohol. Drink pre-alcohol. Drink responsibly, and then enjoy tomorrow. My wife went down to Cancun recently, man, and took some with her, and it absolutely worked. She felt good while her friends did not. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On NFL at checkout. Zbiotics is backed with 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lockedonnfl and use the code lockedonnfl at checkout for 15% off.
We're back here, Locked On Packers, Locked On Jaguars. Tony Wiggins. It's time to go to the barbershop, Tony.
Come on.
Do it.
Come on.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him because even when he puts the ball, he could put it in a guy's face mask and he'd find a way to drop it. What is the disconnect here? Like, this is to the point now where I'm seeing people doing like, is the ball the problem? Does he not throw a catchable ball? Does it have a weird spin on it? Like, they are having to CSI the drops in Jacksonville. What is happening?
And it's guys that don't drop passes. I mean, I don't recall Gabe Davis being a pass dropper. I don't recall Christian Kirk being a pass dropper. I never recall Calvin Ridley, who was here last year, being a dude that had a reputation of dropping balls. I think that there's a certain amount of pressure. And I'm not trying to make Jacksonville sound like New York City. It's not like you cut your mustache off and have to go play for the Yankees and forget that you know how to play. It's really a situation where the team has not been good. The fans are rabid, and there's a national perception that they're not. Jaguar fans are great. They are outstanding. And it's just that when you come here,
say something sideways on Twitter and tell me that they're not rabid. Like, I've seen it firsthand for sure.
You better. I laugh every time I see somebody that I know start yapping at Jaguar fans. I'll send them a message. I'll be like, go ahead and get ready. Make sure your wife and your kids ain't in the room because they're gonna say something about you to make you feel bad about yourself. So the thing for me is, I think a lot of times because they haven't particularly drafted well, that when they get players, all the three guys I just brought in here were dudes that people thought they either overpaid or got overpaid somewhere else. So there's pressure. Gabe Davis has pressure. He's from the area. He probably got a little bit. Bills fans say we overpaid. Everybody said we overpaid for Christian Kirk. And then even when Evan Ingram got here, Giants fans were laughing at him. I think what comes along with that pressure and along with that money is the pressure to lift the organization and actually perform, because now Jaguar fans are looking at them like, okay, what you got? And, part of athletics isn't just physical, it's mental, it's psychological. And I really believe that is the problem. They have to find a way, and I hate overusing this word, but culture. They have to find a way to instill a culture where those things aren't accepted. But when those guys that are doing that are the guys that you paid the most money, look what happens. I will tell you this: Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie out of LSU, he ain't got no problems. He's the best. He might be their best player, and he ain't got no problem catching the ball. He's catching everything.
He is really fun. He was someone that at LSU, I was just like, are we sure like he's not as good as Malik Neighbors? Like he is real, and he's not, but or at least maybe not.
He's different. Let me say he's different.
He is different. But
right.
I was watching them going, this is really, really fun. And in Jaden Daniels, turns out he's really, really good. Like, that was a really fun offense to study. I'm sure there's a lot of crossover between Jacksonville Jaguar fans and LSU fans too. This team, though, they're just like, Trevor Lawrence is hitting big plays. He leads the league in EPA on throws to the middle of the field. The running game with Tank Bigsby is working, and yet this offense is just kind of meh. So what is it's not just the drop. So what is the disconnect?
The offensive line. And it's not that, okay, so I'm of the opinion that they're not very good. The last few games, they haven't been that terrible. They've actually been very competent. Coming into this year, this particular group that they wanted to start.
Talk about damning with faint praise. They've been competent. They haven't been that terrible.
Because, and I'm going to get to it, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I feel that way. Because what happened, they'd only play one game together. This group of guys that they wanted to be out there and starting. The problem is with it is that it's like a whole bunch of just sevens, and some of them aren't even that. Now I look at the Packers. The Packers drafted they drafted kids that are in the first round that are like the swing guards for the Morgan kid out of Arizona.
Yeah,
Elton Jenkins.
They can't even get him on the field. They want him to be on the field, and Sean Ryan's just playing too well. They can't get him on the field.
Right. So the point is when you get good enough as an organization where you can pick an offensive lineman in the first round and you say, you ain't got to wait. Just keep getting better. We'll put you on a program. It's almost like Alabama. So there are certain areas, certain teams that they seem to get it and they do it. And the reason why they can afford to do that also is because they pick second and third round receivers that turn out to be Reed and all of these other dudes and Dontavius Wicks. So they can afford to go, yeah, we'll draft this offensive lineman. See, we pick somebody in the first round, you better perform. You better perform. Look at Trayvon Walker. That dude has like 17 sacks in his last 24 games, and everybody's still saying, oh, he ain't Aiden Hutchinson. What are you talking about? He has 6 sacks this year. He had 10 and a half last year. He had 6 sacks in 7 games.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a bust.
I actually want to go back to something you said earlier because people are going to push back on it, and I don't think it's fair. You get paid and you feel that pressure. People are going to go, oh, boo-hoo, you got all this money. But that's a real thing. Listen to the players. It is to whom much is given, much is expected. And these players are smart enough to know that. When you get paid that big contract, I think we often hear about fans complaining, oh, he got all that money, he doesn't work as hard. And that does happen with some players. But I would say more often than not, because the guys who get paid all that money are good, they have that intrinsic work ethic. They're not going to just sloth after they get paid. They're going to feel the pressure, and then you start to press. And the receiver part of this, to me, and I think the defense is going through a similar thing. They were good last year. That was the 10th ranked defense by DVOA last year with a lot of the same players this year. It's like when you can't make a 3. Remember that Houston Rockets, they couldn't make a 3 against the Warriors in the playoffs.
Oh, I know.
And it just felt like there was a lid on the bucket. And then all of a sudden, the next shot, you're a little bit tighter going up. The next shot, you're a little bit tighter going up. And it seems like watching this team with the amount of talent, because there is talent on the roster, that they're in their heads about this. And it doesn't seem like they have the player leadership that they need to get out of it. And it doesn't seem like, and this is maybe more important, they don't have the coach leadership to get out of it. I don't know where you are on Doug Peterson right now, but he's one of those guys that I thought was going to really be a calming force in Jacksonville. And it just doesn't seem like he has. And in fact, I hear more of the, why is he empowered some of the guys on the team when it doesn't seem like they're on his coaching staff, when it doesn't seem like they're doing a good enough job?
Well, I would agree with you. He was a common influence. Remember, he succeeded Urban Meyer. That's like having King Joffrey run your football team. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So,
but it's like going from King Joffrey to Searcy in a lot of ways.
Pretty much, that's the way it is. So what Doug has done the last 2 years is get them to 9-8. That's about, in my opinion, that's probably what he is. He's a 9-8 coach. Yeah. And then you talk about that defense that was ranked 10th. They fired the coaching staff, including 2 people that are friends of mine. So, and I knew them before they started coaching. So the thing is, I still gave him the benefit of the doubt to come in here and do something different. But what this is CYA. This is cover your you-know-what. And Trent Baalke, because they were expected to go beyond the 9 wins last year, and they didn't. They got off to an 8-3 start. Yeah. They got off to an 8-3 start and finished 9-8. So, but they weren't playing well even when they were 8-3. What's happening here is there's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of, well, it's not me, it's them. And it's not them, it's me. And we're going to get rid of this guy and get rid of that guy. The bottom line is, you're right, the leadership is missing. And Doug's style of leadership, to me, here right now, doesn't work. There has to be accountability. Guys have to perform. Their biggest problem is leaving practice and taking what they've done practice and doing it in the game. Now, when you cover the NFL, you're not there during the season other than stretching. So you don't know what they've done in practice. You just have to take their word for it. But even Trevor Lawrence says, we're practicing and we do it well in practice. Here's the thing, though. They're practicing against each other. And the offense and the defense are both having the same problem in doing in the games what they do in practice. So it might not be that you're not doing it in practice. This just might be the people you're practicing against are probably mediocre.
Yeah. Well, let's try and figure out how to handicap this game. Let's figure out who's going to win. Let's figure out why.
All right. We'll get to that in just a second as we continue our crossover between the Jaguars and the Green Bay Packers. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. Quite simply, y'all, it's America's #1 sports book. I have so much fun with FanDuel, even though sometimes your teams let you down a little bit, right? Whether that's on Saturday or Sunday. I'm telling you, it's not a good year if you're at Florida State or a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. But you can still win you some money and have a good time on FanDuel. And if you go there now, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. You don't have to win, thank God. You just have to make sure you place your first $5 bet and you got guaranteed $200 in bonus bets at FanDuel. And when you get there, man, you don't have to leave the page in order to check stats or look at play-by-play or even check scores. It's right there on the same page where you actually make your bet. So make sure you visit America's #1 sports book. That is FanDuel.com. Like I said, you want to be around a winner, you want to be a winner, you got to be with the winner. And that is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. All right, continuing here with the crossover. Today's crossover is always sponsored by Prize Picks. Here on Thursday, head on over to Prize Picks, enter the promo code LOCKEDONNFL, and you will receive $50.
That sounds good to me.
Sounds good to you? Because it sounds good to me. All right, look, we got to make some predictions here. I don't have the Jaguars winning this game. I just think Green Bay is too good in every area.
Can I bring up the T word?
Go ahead. What?
Trap game. That is the word on the minds of Packer fans right now, because you get this big win over Houston. Like you saw it. Jair, Stephon Diggs, those dudes do not like each other. There's the pregame scuffle. They talk the entire game. There was a little bit of a playoff chippiness in the way that we watched the Packers play last week. They've got Detroit next week, then a bye, then the Bears, then the 49ers. This is the meat of their schedule coming up. If you're going to come out and no-show because you overlook an opponent, this would be the week. I don't believe in trap games generally. I think it's nonsense. I think championship teams take care of business, and I think the Packers are a potential championship caliber team, but this game scares a lot of Packer fans right now, Tony. I'm just telling you.
I can understand that, and I can understand why you're afraid, because the Jaguars Trevor Lawrence is better than people think he is. Okay,
yeah. Trevor better than the numbers. For sure.
Trevor, we have 2 running backs. Travis Etienne, who's banged up. I don't even know if he's going to go, but Tank Bigsby might be a better power runner who could. Yeah, he might be better in a lot of people's eyes. Evan Ingram's back and he's healthy. Christian Kirk can play. Gabe Davis can play. They got a lot of people. I just believe, though, with the pressure you guys can put on the defense, I trust your defense coordinator, our offensive coordinator. And then when you flip it around the other way, our defense has a tendency. I don't know what Ryan Nielsen's doing, and I want you to notice this Sunday. They rotate people after like 2 or 3 plays on like the first drive of the game. So if Green Bay can get 1 first down, you're going to see Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen on the sideline. And it is the most bewildering thing in my mind, because I know they're not running Kenny Clark to the sideline after 2 or 3 plays on the first drive. And then if y'all make it to the red zone, he's going to insert them and go make them, okay, now stop them. Don't let them score. It's the weirdest thing. But we're banged up in the secondary, man, and you guys have gotten pretty healthy, especially with Watson coming back at wide receiver and Reed seeming like he's okay. I just think they have too many weapons, and I think the offensive game plan for Green Bay is just too good, and then you can always turn and give the ball to number 8, Josh Jacobs. So, and Tucker Kraft. I was a huge Luke Musgrave fan. Tucker Kraft has turned out to be the dude I thought Luke Musgrave was going to be. So I know I'm supposed to be talking about the Jaguars, but I'm just telling you why I think this team is too good for them. I think we could surprise Minnesota. I don't think we can surprise and upset Green Bay.
So it's funny because Luke Musgrave just can't get on the field is part of the problem. He just can't stay healthy.
That's another example of what I'm talking about. He's not a bad player. He's athletic and all of that, but that other kid is just too good.
Just better. It is well, and that's why you double up. That's why in that draft they drafted 2 kids, top 100 picks at tight end, a need position. They bring in Ben Sims, undrafted free agent in that draft, and now Tucker Kraft has ascended. Luke Musgrave's hurt. Doesn't matter. You've got this really good player, leads the NFL in yards after contact. Tucker Kraft. This is true. 9 yards after contact per touch. That is crazy. That's if you try and tackle him, he's going to pick up a first down after you try and tackle him. Like, he is a nightmare to tackle. And I think this is on both sides of the ball where the game is going to be won and lost. The Jaguars are number 1 in Trevor Lawrence is the number 1 quarterback in EPA throwing to the middle of the field. The Packers defense is 3rd in DVOA defending the middle of the field. They are really good at taking away the one place that this offense has been really good this season. And if you want to throw the ball deep down the field, good luck. Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams are the two highest graded safeties in the NFL in coverage this season. It's going to be a tall task to try and do that. On the other side of the ball, these linebackers are a problem. There's a reason this is the worst defense in the NFL by DVOA and by a couple other metrics. I think that middle of the field defense, Jordan Love, he loves to throw those slants, in breakers, deep, the digs back in behind. They love to run these dagger concepts where you've got the big in breaker with the clear out route. I think that's going to be where they can take advantage. The middle of the field is going to be where this game is won for Green Bay and lost for Jacksonville. I said it in the Leap, a newsletter I would love for your fans to go subscribe to and check out this week. That a focused Packers team comes in and scores 30 and wins this game by a touchdown or more. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think this team is locked in that kind of way. And so I like, this is one of those games where I think like 31-21 is kind of where I feel like this is going to go. Don't turn the ball over if you're Jordan Love. And I think that it's just too much right now for these two teams. So that's what
I got you. Here's what I think Packer fans are going. I think it's going to be an entertaining game, and I believe y'all will leave saying they're better than 2 wins. But I'm going to tell you the difference between the organizations.
Okay.
How much did y'all pay for Xavier McKinney?
Well,
let me rephrase that.
Lot.
How much was his contract?
$17 million a year, I think, is the number.
Well, that's a lot. So it's probably a little bit more, but I guarantee you, whatever that number is, y'all probably laughed at the fact that we gave Darnell Savage all the money that we were giving him to play slot. And you know, to be honest, he's been a little bit underwhelming for us.
Well, and think about this, Tony. The Jaguars gave Gabe Davis $13 million a year. Would you rather have Gabe Davis at $13 million or Xavier McKinney at $17 million? I mean, I'd
rather have Xavier McKinney.
It's a no-brainer.
See, all of it's no-brainers. And that's the point. When you look at the Jaguars, you say, why aren't they better? And when people talk about that point you made up about the money, it's not just the pressure. What it is you're paying guys to be something that they're incapable of being. Yeah. So when let's just say everything
contract, if the answer is
right,
no,
everything is slotted. So you're paying Gabe Davis $13 million. Well, Gabe Davis ain't a $13 million wide receiver, but the expectation is that he will be. And the problem is he's not. So now if a guy tries to overperform the contract, that's where he's not able to do it. And that's the part of the pressure. And I'm glad that you brought that up. It's not like the pressure of just playing a sport that they've been playing since they were kids. It's the pressure of you paid me to be something that I'm not. You can't pay Robin to be Batman. You can't pay either one of them to be Superman. It just doesn't work. And I think that's the problem with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They haven't drafted well enough, so they have to go out and overpay and spend big money in free agency, and it just has not panned out. What has panned out, though, I want you to tell everybody where they can find that Leap newsletter.
Well, I just want anyone out there listening to know that if they want to pay me to be something that I'm not, I'm happy, I'm available. I can have my people call your people. No, go check out the Leap newsletter at the leap.football. We got .football, which is pretty cool. The leap.football is the place. And then can I just please, Tony, shout out for your audience. Locked On Sports Today is where I'm normally talking to you. That is like the first 15 minutes of Sports Center, but in a podcast form. You want to get up to date on all the sports around sports. You're locked in on Jaguars. You're locked on Jaguars. But you need to know what's going on in the baseball playoffs. You want to know what's going on in the NBA. Locked On Sports Today is your place, and you will hear your boy Tony Wiggins on with regularity.
That's right. And you can catch me on the barbershop. There's 2. Tyler rolling in the morning, early in the morning, yelling and screaming at you and waking you up with all of the information that you need around the NFL. And then you come to the barbershop with me in the middle of the day, and we just coast on through. So make sure you check out Locked On NFL wherever you get your podcasts and wherever you listen or hear those podcasts. Peter Bukowski, my brother from another mother, it is always a pleasure. And the Packer fans said a lot of nice things about me and to me when we were telling everybody we were going to do a crossover. So I feel real good.
Put the pressure on you, the expectations.
Yeah. See, I hope I performed. I hope I lived up to the contract. You know what I'm saying? But make sure y'all check us out wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Packers, Locked On NFL, Locked On Sports Today, and Locked On NFL. Let's hope for a good game where everybody stays healthy, and good luck to everyone's team. You guys take care of each other, and we'll do the same.